Good day, this is Julio Cesar Briseño, and I will be answering some questions about the Toyota's supply chain case study. The first question is, what are some of the unique attributes of a Toyota production system, and what are the implications of Toyota's supply chain? Well, my answer is Toyota defined as TPS, which is Toyota Production System, reduces waste, increasing efficiency, and reducing costs. A production system based on the philosophy of achieving, the complete elimination of waste in pursuit of the most efficient methods. Waste included excess inventory, extraneous processing steps, defective products, waste motion, performing unnecessary process steps, waiting and transportation. Also, the TPS required precise coordination throughout all the links in its global supply chain. Toyota had several tiers of suppliers, and Tier 1 could be suppliers were responsible for major systems such as seats or even the dashboards. About the Tier 2 suppliers supply components to the Tier 1 suppliers, and Tier 3 suppliers supply individual parts and materials to Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers. All of this to improve coordination and deepen supply relationships. Toyota believed that the Tier 1 suppliers should be as close to the factory as possible, even on site, with Toyota when feasible. Toyota Tier 1 suppliers deliver various parts and systems just in time as needed by the Toyota assembly plant. Tier 2 suppliers supplied parts and components to their customers who were Toyota's Tier 1 suppliers. Given the relative commoditization of parts and components supplied by Tier 2 suppliers and their Tier 3 suppliers, less emphasis was placed on forming deep and engineering relationships. The second question is, Toyota learned from the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. What changes did the company make to create more resilient global supply chains? So, as part of the series of changes that Toyota undertook in responding to disruption, it increased inventory buffer stocks for critical parts and also increased their supply chain visibility to all tiers of suppliers. Although these changes helped them during the 2020. Also, Toyota ensured that multiple suppliers would supply each component. In rare cases, a supplier was a sole source giving a patent or a unique set of capabilities. So, Toyota responded by developing a business continuity plan that required semiconductor suppliers to maintain a safety buffer of anywhere from 2 to 6 months worth of shifts, depending on the order or to delivery lead time. Working with its Tier 1 suppliers to create a database that includes detailed information on suppliers down the entire supply ladders. So this information includes what components the supplier makes, plant locations, and suppliers of the component parts. And finally, the company committed to establishing regional supply chains with other required suppliers, so these will provide opportunities for shifting to another region's suppliers to avoid complete shutdowns. Basically, Toyota needed to combine to implement the previously described solutions to increase its abilities to both resist disruption and recover operational capability after disruption occurred. And the third question is, how did automakers contribute to the global microchip shortage? What could they have done differently? Well, Intel made its own chips, but some companies such the Qualcomm sourced ship production to foundries that serve as contract manufacturers. So building the new microchip fabrication facilities involve capital expenditures around over $1 billion of dollars. So expanding the production of microchips for automobiles essentially translated into investing in all technologies to produce low margin commodity chips, a prospect that was quite unattractive to many players. So then several countries offer significant subsidies for construction new semiconductor fabrication facilities, but even with companies breaking ground on new facilities, the chip shortage was projected to extend well into 2023 or even 2024. So, other of the companies was Tesla. Tesla company was working on designing, developing, and validating around 19 new variants of the controllers that could reduce the number of chips in their automobiles. So they have also identified suppliers who commit to supplying the new controllers. On November 2021, General Motors (GMC) announced that they were working with seven chip suppliers on three new families of microcontrollers. The estimate they used in controllers instead of more traditional semiconductors would reduce the number of unique chips by 95% of future vehicles. Unlike Tesla, GM did not plan to use its own engineers to design, develop, or validate chips. So, for all these situations, some automakers eliminate certain features that depend on microchips. GM started building some of its full-size pickup trucks without software that managed full consumption. Tesla began removing adjustable lumbar support from the passenger seats of some of the models. Also, GM shifts some microchips from less popular to more popular models. Another approach was to build the vehicles without certain chips and power them in large lots for eventual completion when chips became available. This approach by GM was referred to as the Deal Shy strategy, and by the end of March 2020, Ford had around 20,000 vehicles parked and waiting for chips. So, having said that, what could they have done differently the rest of the companies or the previous companies we talked is they needed to adopt the Toyota's process and is under requirements. They needed to understand or classify per the material needs, high runners, medium runners, low runners. So one of the points that the company should do now is increase inventory buffer stocks for the critical parts. I mean, for all those part numbers that have long lead times, should every company should have an internal strategy plan to always have inventory in house, or even make some arrangement, try to find a second source and not depend only just on one. Since any disruption, they have another option to reach out that second supplier or even the second sourcing to get that material. And also, the companies should increase the supply chain visibility to all tiers of suppliers, as Toyota did it. Maybe other suppliers need to have more visibility about the requirements, about the BLMs or the bills of materials. So it depends how companies can trust with the suppliers, and obviously it came with if this supplier is at tier one, even tier two or tier three. In some companies as the aerospace industry, The companies are not allowed to provide too much information or provide too much visibility. Even the suppliers has a chance to review the forecast internally using some supplier portals or anyways. Um, it is basically all these factors or points that Toyota have provided and has been open to provide to all the rest of the companies as the Kanban, Atlanta Yukon, and Just in Time should be good practices that the rest of the plants should take it and put it in process and work starting on those Toyota's Toyota's practices and at the end of the day the results that Toyota is receiving for those strategies are giving them the real profit and and a good practice in the company that the companies are willing to adopt. So of today, the company I work for there apply too many Toyota's practices as well. So I really recommend or encourage other supply chain areas and other companies to try to invest and develop designs similar to the Toyotas.